Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. My name is Ehi.
And my name is Happy.
And this is the Happy Ehi After channel.
Thank you for tuning in. If it's your first time, we appreciate you. Please consider subscribing and turning on that notification bell.
Yes.
And if you're a returning subscriber,
welcome.
Yes. Thank you for joining us today.
And if it's your first time of meeting us, we are just your favorite inter-African couple. We have lived in China, we now live in Canada, and we just basically talk about our experiences in life in the hopes that you pick up something to help you make a better decision for yourself.
Yes, from both our beautiful experiences and our mistakes.
Yes.
In today's video, we want to compare our life here in Canada to the one that we lived in China.
Yes, we want to do a comparative analysis. At least we've been living in Canada now for a little over a year.
Yeah.
And then we just want to do a comparative analysis that, 7 years living in China, a little over a year in Canada, did we make a mistake? Like, let's do a comparative analysis. Let's talk, because we always get this question from people. Oh, how was life in China? Oh, do you prefer China or Canada? Oh, what is it like? So we just thought about it. Let's actually talk about that.
I loved our life in China. I won't lie.
First, before we start, this is not in any way to discourage anybody from moving to any of these countries.
If you like, be discouraged.
That's your business. The first thing I want to say is that going back, if I had a chance to go back, regardless of my experience in Canada, I would still choose to move to Canada. In fact, I would have even moved to Canada earlier for one reason and one simple reason. The fact that we moved here as a permanent residents. And the fact that we could be permanent residents here, nothing can top that, right? We had no chance of getting that in China. We got it here and we are grateful for it, and we wouldn't change it.
Oh yeah, okay, anything. You've made your point. I loved my life in China.
Okay, now having said that, now let's get into it. Let's start with
what's that?
Cost of living. The cost of living here is about to kill the living.
We should have started with that one.
What to start with? The cost of living is about to choke the living.
Any small thing like this, you need to pay.
Maybe it's because the first time in my entire life I ever had to cough out money for rent was when we came to this Canada.
In China, your employer is responsible for your house.
Accommodation.
And your accommodation is fully furnished.
Fully furnished, So by law, an employer cannot employ a foreigner without being responsible for the accommodation. So they either actually get you an apartment or give you a separate housing allowance to cover your rent. And that housing allowance is usually around the rent, with the rent, except you are living in the big cities like Beijing and Shanghai. So they give you something that is not at par with rent, because rent is really high. And mind you, when I say rent is really high, it's what we came to pay here. That's really high. It's what we came to pay here as normal rent.
Wait, let me.
As normal rent.
How much was our rent in China?
Our 4-bedroom apartment in China.
On the 23rd
floor. On the 23rd floor, in a gated community that had a play area for the kids, jogging tracks for us, and all the other things, cost us. Our employer was paying 2,600 RMB per month. 2,600 RMB per month is 491 Canadian dollars. It was a 4-bedroom apartment.
Oh boy.
Lights below, this thing below, everything bill. If we pay too much, we are so irresponsible with it.
$50.
Maybe $30 or $50. $50. Let's say we are very in the summer, it's very hot. We now
are
open
blowing
our
AC.
door down and we are blowing AC. Maybe
Hey, you
$50.
remember our friends who went for vacation, but they left the cat in the house?
House and left the AC
They
on.
left the AC on. 3 weeks, AC was blowing.
You know? Cost of living. Wow. Let's not even now talk about Walmart. Because there's Walmart there too. The prices. My God.
No. The cost of living, we cannot compare this.
Our monthly grocery bill in China, when we used to be lavish. We're very lavicious. Was around 1,000 RMB.
1,000 RMB would be.
1,000 RMB is how much? 188 Canadian dollars. We were very lavish.
Steak, filet.
You know, lamb. We were very, very lavish. We used to spend about $1,000 a month. So the cost of living in China is, oh my God. I still daydream about it.
No. If we start with that one, it's
let's not even go to transport, because in China we had zero need for a vehicle. Zero. So we had nothing like a vehicle payment or insurance of vehicle. We had zero need for a vehicle because the transport system is, when you combine the trains, the subway, the bus, and Uber. When you combine this four, you can get to any part of China for cheap and efficient.
Never 1 second late.
You know, cheap and efficient. On transport, we will take a 2-hour trip. Let me just give you an example. We lived in Foshan. Foshan to Shenzhen by car was about 2 hours, 20 minutes, right? We're going on vacation in Shenzhen. We can take a train. We can do train that will cost us about
The same amount.
about 100 RMB, which is like
$91.
100 RMB, which is like $9.
$9.
Which is like $9. But we'll say, okay, we don't want to go to the stress of going to the train station, checking in. Okay, let's just take a straight car, and our ride will be 250 RMB, 300 RMB, which is what? $20. Check.
Let me check.
Which is around $40.
250. $47.
$47. A 2.5 hour ride.
Not
to
from
Shenzhen.
not from 2-hour drive. Obviously, it's from one city to the next.
Of course, we're going from Foshan to Shenzhen. It's like me hopping in an Uber, saying I'm going to Montreal. Like I should just say I'm going to Montreal.
We didn't even find the Uber.
You know, we used to go and club in Shenzhen. Just to go clubbing. So what we would do is, okay, we know we are going clubbing. We'll prepare the kids. We'll have somebody stay with the kids. So we'll just hop in a car at maybe 9 p.m.
Because
they take us straight to the club. We arrive at the club at 11:30, party all night, leave the club at 4 a.m., hop in a car, back home at 6 a.m.
And you will find a car. It's not like somebody.
And you find a car. Imagine me trying to do that now that I'm going to Montreal. So I would just want to hop in a car, go to Montreal. That's my month's salary. Gone. You know? So that is transport.
Transport is so sweet.
Transport are associated. Healthcare.
Baby, don't talk about that one.
We used to think health. You see, funny enough now, we used to think healthcare in China is not that good. Why? Because
we had to wait 20 minutes.
Post-COVID, we had to, for you to, if our daughter has a temperature or something, for us to go to the hospital, see a doctor, do all the tests, all the blood tests, urine tests, whatever, get the results, go back to the doctor, get a prescription or whatever they prescribe, go home. We used to need to do it with like 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
So we would go in the morning at about 9. We wouldn't be back home till like 12:30, sometimes 1. We used to think, that was a terrible system. And this is because we went to the main hospital, right? There is always a community hospital. In fact, we had a community hospital that was just a few minutes from the house. We used to go and see the doctor. And seeing that doctor doesn't take us anything more than 30 minutes. We used to think, this is...
Where's this spot?
We used to think it's inconvenient, especially because they only spoke in Chinese, right? If we wanted to go to an English-speaking doctor, it was about a 2-hour car ride away, right? Fully covered by our private insurance. But because the fact that it was a 2-hour car ride away,
Inconvenience.
it was inconvenient. And you get the 2 hours, within 30 minutes, you're in front of the doctor. It was too inconvenient for us, so we prefer to just go to the Chinese General Hospital. Hospital where...
But you know what? You should explain the steps again. You get to the hospital. Because of the COVID, before they let you into the hospital, they have to swab you, take a COVID test. And then you have to wait for the results. That's like 30 minutes before you go inside, because they need to know if you have COVID or not. So the fact that you get your COVID results in less than like 30 minutes, that was also a good thing. We didn't know at the time.
Yeah, we thought it was normal.
After that, you go in with your hospital booklet. You know, they scan the code. Your number appears on the logboard. So now you see where you are, in which room you have to go to. And then you get to the doctor. The doctor cannot just look at you and say, okay, this is the problem. Sometimes they do, but they would rather run extra tests. So they'll give you a paper to say, okay, take this paper, go to the lab. The lab is within the hospital. So you just go 2 floors up, give them the paper, they do the test. Then you have to wait for the results, another 30, 40 minutes. You get the results, you take them back to the doctor, and then the doctor can say the next steps. So that was a hospital visit.
Yeah, that was a hospital visit.
Routine.
And then if for some reason you need to see a specialist, like our son had a respiratory problem one time. He needed to spend 10 days in the hospital. We went into the hospital as normal, did the test, and then the doctor said, oh, this is a serious respiratory infection. So I'm referring you to the specialist. Still within the same hospital.
Just go upstairs.
The same day, he needs to be admitted into the hospital. The same day we saw the doctor and he started his treatment. No waiting.
No going outside the hospital.
No waiting 15 hours in the emergency room. Nothing like that. It doesn't exist. No waiting 15 hours to see anybody. No, you're on the waiting list. It might take a couple of months.
Oh, boy.
Like when our daughter needed to do dental surgery, you're on a waiting list. It might take a couple of months, but it's dangerous. It might spread to the brain. But you're on a waiting list. It will take a couple of months. Tell us if you are feeling any discomfort and if you're almost dying. Nothing like that.
If there's a problem, it has to be fixed right away.
Our biggest problem with all this was that most times we needed a translator.
Yes, and so we had to inconvenience somebody else.
We needed to go with a Chinese friend who would listen to the doctor, explain to us and everything. That was that. And mind you, we could go to the international hospital. We could, but it was 2 hours away. Yes. Our insurance had a list of hospitals. One of them was an international hospital with English-speaking doctors. We could, but it was too far because it was 2 hours away. So
and then when you factored in, for example, if I had to go to the international hospital and our daughter is in daycare and our son is in another program, so it was like if we take the 2 hours to make the trip, we have to make all other arrangements for the kids because we'll come back late. So it's amazing how you didn't have to leave the hospital to go do tests. Here, you have to go in. They still do tests. I was in the big hospital. But you go to a walk-in clinic, they give you a paper. You go to Dynacare to do the test. You wait for the results a couple of days. You have to go to the walk-in clinic. It's not by appointment. You need to stay in the queue.
The family doctor. You see, this thing of family doctor, it doesn't exist in China. Yeah. What you have is a community hospital for this community. Everybody goes there to do their yearly medical check. Everybody goes. The doctors are there. They are a group of doctors in the community hospital. everybody in that community gets to go there. If there's any major issue, you get referred to specialized hospitals in that same area, right? You're not going out of state for anything.
Yeah,
So
healthcare
that's healthcare. Let's see. We've talked about cost of living. Now, because of cost of living, salaries in Canada higher, but your ability to save in China much higher. Because of cost of living, right? Because especially for foreigners living in China, right? Salaries in Canada much higher, ability to save in China much higher. Yeah.
Another one was enjoyment.
Just to have a good time. To check into a 5-star hotel, to use Club Med, to go to an all-paid resort, to fly to a different city to go and have an experience.
To
These
eat
were
out.
cheap things to do. To go to a steak, to go and have a nice steak in a nice fancy restaurant.
Without breaking the bank. Let me see. If we want to go and eat ribs now, between you and me, no, we usually spend like 150 for just dinner. Between me and you, like date night, we just go somewhere.
Just go a couple of drinks and this is we've already spent 700, almost 800 RMB. If we spend 800 RMB, we have gone out of city, we've booked into a hotel.
Or we are paid for everybody.
We've had a nice meal in a nice restaurant, or we've gathered our friends and paid for dinner for them for the night. So you see, it was really cheap to have a good time. Let's see, what else?
And then
education, I would say no. Education, Canada, better. Maybe because we're not paying for it here. In China, we had to pay our son's school. It was subsidized, but we had friends who needed to really pay, for international schools for their kids. It's expensive. No, education in China is expensive.
But
we're talking per semester or in a year. We're talking almost $5,000. So.
I might say it's in RMB. Is it not 25,000?
No, our friends were paying 56,000 RMB per year.
That's $10,000.
That's $10,000. It cost. We our kid had to go to a Chinese school, right? But if you wanted your kids to go to an international school, 56,000 was the cheaper end. If you want to go to a proper British international school, or Canadian international school, we're talking 80,000, 120,000 a year. We're talking serious, easy $25,000 a year. So please, that one, Canada has that one. And again, the quality of these international schools are basically the same quality of public schools here in Canada, right? So when it comes to kids' education, Canada has that.
And then another thing, although I enjoyed my life in China, but there was no credit system. So the money you have is
the money you have. Yes. Again, this, in fact, I won't say credit system. Another reason why Canada is better is access to facilities. How much are you a part of the society? In China,
you are a foreigner.
You are a part of the society by 15%. Here, the only difference between me and a full-blooded citizen is that they can vote and be voted for. I am a full-fledged part of the society. Down from the banking system to the legal system to the corporate system to the everything.
I have a chance.
Because we are here as PR because we are here as PR. That's why I say I wouldn't exchange it for anything. Because we are here as PR. But in China, right? You are not a part of the system. You are not really a part of the corporate system because your stay is tied to your job, right? And your job is also restricted. It's not like you can just wake up and say, today I'm working as a teacher, tomorrow I want to work as an IT person. No. Your job is tied to your job title. Your stay is tied to your job title. And then no access to credit, so you can't if you want to buy a house, you have to cough out the raw cash to buy a property or car or anything.
That
So,
you might not even know.
you know,
I won't get into that one.
you know, and buying these things doesn't mean it affects your ability to stay in the country in any way. You know, so for that, I would say access to facilities in the system. Look, we could come here and within 6 months we'll buy a house. No, it was impossible, China. It's impossible, right? Unless you pick some money on the floor, right?
But yeah, life was really sweet. I think something about China. We gave China our best years.
Oh no, me I'm seeing my best year. You and who? You and who gave China your best years?
No.
I'm in my prime. I'm in my best
When you
years.
were 20, what was you going to say? You know, 24. Yeah, 24.
How is that my best
What
year?
time did you leave?
When I was broke,
What?
blind broke. How is that my best? How is that my best year? When I was so broke.
When you're young, your young years, you know, 24 to when did you leave? How old were you when you left China? Tell me.
30.
See, 24. Hey, you are young now, so it was not.
I know, yeah, I won't. I'm still in my best years, you know. I'm still in my best years.
Our young years, when we were, you know.
What's the difference that we're not going clubbing again? Even then, how many clubbing did we do? It's not like
The ones we did.
yeah, the ones we did, and we can still do it here.
When? Which time?
Don't when we go to Toronto, don't we go clubbing?
How many? Once a year.
Don't we go
China
clubbing?
every other weekend.
In the summer, don't we go to this thing? And then another thing, oh my God, our friends in China, we had, but it took us time. It took us a couple of years to actually build our community in China. And we are also doing the same here. So slowly we are building our community. And it was in China we learned that you have to be proactive in building a community around yourself. It can't passively happen like it happens in the country of your birth. Right? You have to be proactive in building a community. And when we became proactive in building a community, you know, holidays, Thanksgiving, we had every excuse to be around people, birthdays, Thanksgiving, or imagine we used to celebrate Day of the Dead, Mexican Day of the Dead. We used to celebrate Cinco de Mayo. We used to celebrate some Ecuadorian festival that we did not even know about. We used to celebrate Polish festival. We used to celebrate Orthodox Christmas. We used to celebrate Orthodox New Year. We had every reason to really enjoy the company of our friends. And slowly here, we are also doing. And one thing we didn't also have in China that we have here, it's an amazing church community. Right? In China, we didn't have a church community. Right? We had student fellowship when we were students. When we started working, almost zero church. But here now we have an amazing church community that now forms part of our community also. So in that sense, I would say I give it to Canada.
Yeah, give it to Canada. Yes.
What else?
China still for you see it's China and then Botswana and then Canada. You can go.
For me, it will be Canada and then China and then Botswana and then Nigeria.
You can see our priorities. Me, if you like, take me home right now. You see, when he says let's go, let's play a trip to Dominica, I said please, me, I want to go home. I want to go to Botswana.
It's true, and me too. I enjoy spending time in Botswana. If I enjoy spending time in Botswana, yes. South Africa also. So Southern Africa, I would say I enjoy spending time in Southern Africa. Nigeria, well, I haven't had a chance to actually go to Nigeria to spend time. And then again, most of my friends have left Nigeria. Most of my friends.
You should tell you the truth. When he was in Nigeria, he was a poor man.
No. It's not. I'm not hiding that fact. When I left Nigeria in 2015, I was a broke ass. In fact, there were some things I didn't even know existed in Nigeria because my capacity to enjoy them had not gotten there. I have friends who were broke together in the university who have now become big boys in Nigeria, who are now enjoying some things. You know, when they tell me about some life they're eating in Lagos, really, has this always been there? But it's just because, you know, it was out of my affordability range. You know, how many times will I say I'm going to Lekki? To do what? If it's not a client calling me to his house, will I just wake up, leave beggar, or leave Abulegba, and say I'm going to Lekki to go and chill? Chill with who? My chilling is no more than ICM. You can just City Mall. That is the height of my chilling. That is the height of my chilling. So I've not really lived in Nigeria after I've started working and earning money and all that. So I wouldn't know if I actually would enjoy living in Nigeria, but I don't want to find out. I don't. Right now, I'm not willing to find out. Maybe in the future, but right now, I'm not willing to find out.
Anyway, that was basically our comparison.
Yeah, that's our comparison between life.
That's
in
our
China.
own comparison.
Yeah, so people's experiences might be different. We know foreigners who absolutely hated living in China.
Yeah.
But we also know people who absolutely love living in China. And we look forward to a time when we can reunite with our friends. Maybe not in China, but in their countries. You know, we have friends from almost everywhere in South America, in Asia, in North America, in Europe. You know, we know that, okay, if we plan a vacation to this country, we know this person and we can always go and, you know, hang out with this person and stuff. And yeah, living in China gave us that and we're really happy about it.
Enjoyment. We forgot to talk about our, we used to wear Louis Vuitton.
Oh, that is a story for another day. You know, buying clothes, buying designers was not a this thing. Here now we cut our coat according to our sizes. We cut our coat according to our clothes, rather, not our size, our clothes. We respect ourselves, you know, because we can't use mortgage money now to go and buy a shoe. You know, let God not Camaro shoe. Let us not see the devil.
Alright, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in and listening to our Gist Talk. Maybe we should call it Gist Talk.
Yeah. And anyways, we have a plan for content for this year. And
that's what he always says it.
God will help us follow through on that plan. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you guys. Thank you for watching.
Bye.
See you.